Well, don't worry, I'm not singing. We've got a little song that we want to just share with you. It's a video. It's a precious, precious video that we found that we want to share. But I just want to share something with you. As a pastor now for about 5 or 8 years, I've always thought it's amazing that a man would share wisdom about how to be a mom on Mother's Day. That seemed a little hypocritical. And so as God has blessed me and blessed my wife with 3 amazing children, Jeremy and Patrick and Jessica, and given us the gift of 4 grandchildren, I thought, Lord, what would you like for Westfield Baptist Church to hear about today? And just like I shared during the parent-child dedication, he just impressed upon me that we need to be reminded that God doesn't expect a perfect mom. We read Proverbs 31, and I'm not sure about you, but if I were a woman, man, that would make me feel about this tall, because I would realize how far short I come to all the things that Proverbs 31 talks about. God blessed us again with 3 uniquely individual children. But I must confess as a daddy that when God gave us on June 25th, 1995, Jessica Hope, in my mind, she became the apple of her daddy's eye. And the day we got ready to walk down on her wedding, I'd always called her Sissy. And I always had said, she's my little girl. She gave me the sweetest little note. And as she was grinning from ear to ear to walk down the aisle to take Channing as her husband, she leaned in and said to me, Daddy, I'll always be your little girl. Part of what parents begin to realize is some of the struggles their children face. You see, we saw Jessica as that young person who seemed never on the outside to have any inward struggles. But little did we know the many things as an adolescent and even as a mom that she wrestled with. So I asked her some time ago, would you mind sharing whatever God lays on your heart as your mama's journey to the people at Westfield? So after this video, I want to tell you as a dad, this young lady is going to come almost as an Esther and just speak to you from her heart about things that God has done and spoken to her. So I pray that you'll receive her just as you have been so kind to receive me, as she shares her testimony of all that she continues to learn about what it means to be given the greatest gift of all, a mom.
Good morning. Let me get my notes ready. So I'm going to go ahead and just tell you guys that I am a little bit nervous, but this is something that the Lord has just called me to do, and I know that he is going to give me the words to say and to share with you guys this morning. So first off, I'm Jessica Adams. My dad is Jimmy, and my mom is Penny. And I am married to Channing, and we are the blessed parents to Oakland. Oakland's actually in the nursery because a 14-month-old in church is quite interesting, to say the least. But we are actually also expecting our second baby come December. So we get the chance to enjoy the 2 under 2 club. So pray for us. I know that God will definitely equip us in being able to be parents to both blessings. This morning, I just want to share my own journey through motherhood. And as you're probably looking at me, you're probably going, what does this 27-year-old girl who is just a mama to 1 have to say something to us on Mother's Day? She doesn't have a lot of experience. And you're right, I don't. But here's what I have found, is that there is power in sharing your testimony. Because as I look out in this room, there are women that are coming in here from all different walks of life. And I don't know your story, but I do know that probably somebody in this room has probably went through something similar that I have walked through. And I just pray that these words that God gives me speak life to you, and that they remind you that you're not walking through the journey of motherhood alone. So I want to give you some just kind of a backstory real quick. So for the first 10 months of my daughter's life, I kept asking myself different questions. I kept asking myself, Jessica, like, you always wanted to be a mom. You always saw that you wanted to be a mom. You thought that you were going to be a stay-at-home mom. And I had this image in my head of what motherhood was going to look like. I thought that I was going to birth this baby and just be filled with so much joy. And I'm here to tell you that wasn't my story. I birthed a healthy baby girl, and I should have been filled with joy, but something was missing. And I kept trying to just kind of like play it off. I kept saying, Jessica, just get over it. You should be thankful. You should be happy. You've gotten everything that you've ever wanted. And a lot of people kept asking me, isn't this just the greatest feeling? Isn't it wonderful to be a mom? And I noticed that my answer to them was honest, but not honest. I kind of said, yeah, yep, it's wonderful. But in the back of my mind, it really wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I wasn't experiencing that joy. I kept noticing that I was feeling detached from my daughter. I was feeling detached from my husband. I was even feeling detached from myself. And like my dad shared, I've always been an optimistic person because I have Jesus. But let me just tell you that if you're not careful, that is when the enemy works in your life. And I let him work. I let him come and I let him kill, steal, and destroy all that the Lord had blessed me with. Little did I know that all of those questions of detachment, where was my joy? Little did I know that I was probably experiencing something that y'all probably have heard of. It's called postpartum depression. Something that I had heard of my entire life, but if I'm honest with y'all, even as a psychology major, it was something that I thought would never touch me. And I also had an image in my head of what postpartum depression looked like. And I think if we're honest, society also has that picture in their head. Just because someone battles postpartum depression does not mean that they are always suicidal. Postpartum depression is quiet. And it can happen, guess what? To the happiest of people. For you see, like my dad said, I would always, even after having Oakland, even though I was battling those questions, whenever people were coming over to our house, I never let that show. I was happy. Yeah, this is amazing. But I kept feeling like something was missing. So like I said earlier, the devil, he was definitely working in my life. And as I look back on those first 10 months of Oakland's life, the joy that I missed out on, it is evident that what he was truly wanting me to do was to take my focus off God and who God called me to be. But how thankful I am that, y'all, we serve a God that is so much greater than any anxiety or depression that anybody in this room can face. I am grateful. Yes, I even said that. I am grateful that God allowed me to walk through postpartum depression because now I have a heart and a passion and a love for mamas. I'm a teacher, and so now I'm starting to realize, how does somebody do all things in life? How does somebody be a working mama, be a wife, be a mom? How do they do all these things? And I just admire moms. Even if you say to me, well, I'm just a mom. No, you are a mom. You are not just a mom. Or you could say to me, I am just a teacher. No, you are a teacher. Or I am just a wife. No, you are a wife. Take the just out of that. And so for me, I have this love and passion that I hope that God uses to just share with every mom who wants to listen. that you're not walking through this journey alone. I now know that one of my greatest ministries, besides the classroom, is in the four walls of my home. I have a ministry to my husband, and I have a ministry to Oakland, and then our soon-to-be child that's going to come in December. That's my mission field. I share all of this with you guys today. I don't want anybody in this room to say, oh my goodness, poor Jessica, she had to walk through this season of depression and she didn't have the joy. Guys, it's not about me. I share this because we serve a God who is faithful. We serve a God who is so powerful that he has the ability to heal and restore. Now, trust me when I say, even though I'm on the other side of postpartum depression, does not mean that every day is rainbows and butterflies. Because I can sure that every mother in here can attest that motherhood is hard. It is hard. But how thankful I am, just like every family stood up here and us in the congregation, guess what? We're a team. We're a team. And so I'm thankful that just because it's hard, guess what? God is going to bring people into your life just like he has brought into my life to be able to walk alongside of us in that journey. My prayer today is that someone here is reminded, like I said earlier, that they are not walking through the journey of motherhood alone. In Deuteronomy 31:6, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with this verse, it tells us that the Lord will never leave us, nor will he ever forsake us. And that we must also lean on one another because we know, like my dad said earlier, I think also Trisha said it, it takes a village to raise children and to train them up in the direction that they should go. I don't have a lot to say, but I want to kind of close with a couple of things that God has just reminded me and who he says I am. And he also says this about who you are. One thing that I'm reminded of is that I, just like you, are not fighting to victory. Did y'all know that the battle has already been fought? And that it's already been won? And that the devil has no power over you as a son and daughter of Jesus Christ. That is amazing. And I have to remind myself of that daily. That when the devil tries to sneak back in and he tries to remind me of my past and the joy that I was missing. And also, let me just tell you, if you're not on social media, it's a good thing. Because social media in this day and age is a wonderful thing, but also a curse. And as a young mama, it is so easy to get in the trap of comparison. Well, look what this mom's doing. Man, this mom is doing all these things, and I'm over here barely holding myself together. I have to remind myself, devil, you have no authority over Jessica Adams. I speak the name of Jesus over my life. On this Mother's Day, I want to remind every single mother in this room of who God says you are. In Ephesians, it reminds us that we are chosen. God chose you to be your son or your daughter's mom in whatever way that looks like. He chose you. And because he chose you, did you know that he's also going to equip you? I am so thankful that I don't have to rely on Jessica Adams' abilities, because if I relied on my abilities, I wouldn't be getting very far in life. John 3:16, famous verse. Everyone probably in this room could probably quote it. We are loved Y'all, we are so loved that I think sometimes we forget how deep and how wide the Father's love for us is. Y'all, he sent his one and only Son to die in our place. So you're chosen. You are loved. And just like God knitted together your son and daughter in your womb, I want to tell you, he knitted you together, and that you are fearfully and you are wonderfully made. If you're like me, sometimes I've quickly realized that as part of motherhood, our bodies change. And sometimes if we're not careful, that is one thing that the devil uses. Well, you don't look this way. Well, you know what? I'm fearfully and wonderfully made by my Creator, and that is enough. My body was made to be able to sustain life and to carry my daughter and give birth to her. That is enough. I saw this. See, this is where social media is actually a good thing. I saw this actually on social media, and it has been kind of like my life quote here recently. I want to remind you that your worth is found in Jesus, not your ability to get things done. I don't know about y'all, and I guess I'm looking out the room. There are mamas who are probably like me who are younger, and there are mamas who have been mamas for a long time. But if you're like me, my personality is a get things done kind of person. I'm a checklist person, and I've always felt the weight of, okay, I gotta cook supper. I've got to clean up, I've got to clean the house, I've got to go to work, I've got to get my job done, and then I've also got to be a present wife and mama. And God just smacked me in the face and said, Jessica, your worth's not found in your ability to have a clean house. Who cares? Do you really think that Oakland is going to look back on her childhood and go, Mama always dusted. Mama always had a clean floor? No. That was my expectations for myself. And thank goodness that Shannon, my husband, does not keep a record of how many times I cook, because let me just tell you, if that was the case, whoa, that would be like slim to none, because I don't cook much. Thank the Lord for takeout and all that good stuff, because I'm just exhausted. But I have found that I could either sit and dwell in my pity and let the devil work, or I can just remind myself of who God says I am. I'm chosen, I'm loved, I'm fearfully and I'm wonderfully made, and he died for me. I'm worth it. The last thing that I want to just say to all mamas, maybe it's been a really long time since you've heard these words, but I want to tell you something. You, my sisters, you are a good, good mama. And don't you dare let anyone, including the devil, ever tell you otherwise. Thank you guys so much for your time today.